Hi, everybody. This is Paul Hitchcock, founder and president of Giant Jaxx Media. This is Giant TV. Great episode here on AI. Really excited to have these two guests with me. I have Scott Bunce, who is a credible Vistage chair. Welcome, Scott. And I've got Eric Langley, who has his own AI consulting firm and advising businesses across the country in AI. Let's jump into this. Obviously, this is a hot topic for all of us. But Scott, I want to talk about what you're doing there in building your Vistage practice. And how AI might be coming up. If you could give us a little bit of background there.
Sure. So I run a Vistage group of mostly CEOs and senior executives. And we, on a monthly basis, meet up to talk about the latest business issues that are coming down the road. And AI keeps coming up over and over again. And not only that, it just seems like when we answer a few questions, more AI questions keep coming and evolving. So our group is constantly trying to stay on the leading edge of AI, how that they can use it to really advance their businesses. And yeah, it's an extremely important topic for us.
Interesting. What industry groups are you focused working with right now, Scott?
Well, my group consists of a wealth manager, a co-owner of a technology company, co-owner of a legal practice, a gentleman that runs multiple restaurants, a gal that leads a marketing and sales organization for a construction company. Then there's a COO of a new home build construction company. And there's a variety of others in the group that I'm probably forgetting, but it doesn't seem to matter what industry you're in. AI seems to across all industries, and it's just how do you put it to use to really save resources and staying on the leading edge.
Yeah, no, it's great because I know what you're doing with Vistage is your group and you're getting together every month, highly collaborative meeting, and where these sort of issues come up and you're processing issues, opportunities, challenges for businesses. Tell us a bit about those monthly meetings and how dynamic those are.
Right. So they're designed for these senior executives to get together and process business issues that are coming up. Yeah. So on a month-to-month basis, we're setting goals. Quite often goals might revolve around driving business. How do they advance business? How there could be a recession coming. How do they maximize their resources in a recession? How do we take advantage of new platforms that are coming on board? So it's processing any issue that might revolve around driving business, being more efficient, becoming more profitable, and advancing their businesses along the way.
Love it. And you've got some openings too, correct?
Oh, I do. I do. Yeah. Some of the people that we're looking for might be around finance, might be around HR, but there are openings as long as the businesses don't overlap with the current members, because there's an exclusive relationship between the members and other members that are inside of the group. We're open for various different businesses along the way.
Yeah, love it. And that gets over to you, Eric, and tell us what we need to know about AI, please.
Yeah, right. So like Scott mentioned, I mean, you start asking questions and that just prompts 3 more questions. And the metaphor that came to my mind was, you're peeling back this onion, right? And there's just a lot there. And I'll tell you, I'm in the business, right? And I can feel overwhelmed sometimes. And I'm working on it every day. So I can just imagine what a CEO that has 8 million other things to deal with other than just AI feels like. So that I can completely relate to that. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can go from this, bit of chaos that we have right now. And I think the key to that is creating a strategy, having a strategic mindset and saying, okay, we're going to figure this out and we're going to do it in a comprehensive way. We're not just going to throw some spaghetti on the wall, right, and see what sticks. We're gonna go through it in a thoughtful way, and AI can even help do that because you can get data analytics about which could be a good way to go and a plan. I have a document that is fairly long, an ebook really, on creating an AI strategy, but it takes a commitment. So I think just deciding becomes an issue, right?
Yeah, and so Eric, and when you're going into companies, every industry you're working with, where do you start with people? Because you made an interesting comment before, where it's like you almost, in at a certain level, don't talk about AI. You talk about other things with the business that AI becomes part of that. Maybe you can mention that a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're talking about strategic use of AI, you're certainly talking about your existing strategic plan. And, what are your objectives, which are typically numerical things. We want to reach X number of customers or grow the business X number of dollars. And then there's a strategy to get there. There's some ideas to initiatives to move along. Well, how is AI going to integrate to specifically help you reach those objectives? And that's a key, right? So we always want to find out, where do you want to be and where are you? And this is classic gap analysis, right? We
Yeah,
want to go from
yeah,
here to here, and what is that going to look like? And that vision can be tricky. So a lot of times it's like, what is that vision? What do you really want to accomplish here? And Scott, I'm sure you deal with the visioning process all the time, right?
Absolutely. We just had a speaker in one of our last meetings that was all about vision statements and how do we set ourselves aside from or apart from the competitive set. So, Eric, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
If I'm running a business, how would I use AI to differentiate myself from a competitive set and set myself up for an advantage?
Yeah, and really, I think you just took that hammer and just nailed it, right? And the competitive advantage is really the ultimate goal, I think. Strategic objectives are great, but if you have a competitive advantage, you're going to get all the benefits of that. And I think that comes down to AI in three places in the business. In your people, augmenting what your people can do, making them better at what they do, improving your products with AI, and then obviously the processes, the things that are done every day, whether they're automated or done by people, can all be helped with AI, and just understanding what they are and constantly improving those. Those are the three areas that I think the biggest impact is.
I think some of the people that I'm running up against in my group, they're just dipping their toe into AI, and they might have a fear of how do they start, where do they begin, what is it that they want to achieve with it? How do you advise them?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm going in, like I said, we do that gap. So where you are, where you want to be. But then in the beginning, there's always these little low-hanging fruits that are there, and it's something that you can do that's pretty easy. It's got a good impact, and it's easy to do. And so you kind of do those first, get your feet wet, but keeping that bigger picture in mind. So whatever we're using here, we want to still be able to use that when we build out maybe a more complex AI system that has an even bigger impact, potentially exponential impact. That would be ideal. So yeah, we do that low-hanging fruit in the beginning, if you will.
Good, good. I've had some people say that they're worried about Google and Google rankings if they're using too much AI. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, there's definitely some risk there, and risk management and risk, identification is a big deal, and certainly Google knows it, right? They're aware that if I now use ChatGPT or another AI to look up information, I'm not Googling that, and consequently, that market might not exist in a few years. And the people that are benefiting, or the businesses that are benefiting from that, might have to look at how they're going to reach their clients differently in the future. There's a significant risk there for e-commerce companies, all kinds of companies that depend on Google advertising for their business.
Yeah, but is it the same? Because if you do a Google search for something versus a Chat GPT search for something, they're not the same output. Isn't that right?
Yeah, they aren't the same output, but I'll give you an example. I wanted to look up a certain type of wine the other day, and I wanted to learn about that wine. Now, normally what I would have done is gone into Google and say, tell me about this type of wine, or just give me some stuff about this wine. And it would throw up some ads or place some ads, as it will, and then some organic content. ChatGPT doesn't do that. It just teaches me about the wine.
Yeah.
And I got the information I wanted, but I didn't see any of those advertisements. So that's a definite risk for the wine companies. But I will then go out and try to find this particular wine. So eventually I will go search for it, right? But it just changes the way that it works. I'm a more educated consumer now, where they were expecting me to go to the website and learn, and I've already learned. So It definitely changes the dynamic from a search for both sides of the equation, the consumer, the advertiser, and the person that's hosting the advertising.
Eric, if you're trying to interact with your customers, how can you use AI to make a better customer experience?
Yeah, and customer experience is like one of my favorite, top AI use cases. And that comes down to a lot of ways. And I think you can even expand on customer experience to call it stakeholder experience, because now it's your people in the company, it's the community at large, it's the shareholders, management, like there's a lot going on. If you can improve, what I often ask is, if you take the customer experience score that you have, however you measure that, whatever it is, and it's 4.1 out of 5, how much is 0.1 worth increase to your business? And then you start testing, AI systems that can make that experience better. But now you have an objective metric to meet. And that to me is, that's how you leverage AI. You meet that metric.
Yeah, so it seems like low-hanging fruit for AI, it can be in sales and marketing. But you mentioned something about operations with construction companies, and you and I were talking offline. I just thought that was a great example of that. Can you just briefly mention that, Eric?
Yeah, and in the studies that have been done on how much work is able to be automated by AI, the construction companies are kind of down the chain a little bit. Like they aren't like the low-hanging fruit. However, they spend a lot of time like working with data. You don't realize how much data is in a construction company. Sure, there's somebody up there hanging drywall or putting in light fixtures or whatever, but they have plans, they have documents, they have financial spreadsheets, they have risk management. AI has so many places that it can make a big impact in a construction company, from data analytics to document processing, communications. There's so many tools. It's really, it's incredible what's happening.
And bids and proposals probably too, right?
Bids and so like when they have to make a bid, you have to do a takeoff on the plans. That is a very time-consuming process, and AI can really help the estimators, is what they're called in the construction industry, do that work, so that if you can speed that process up, even just by 50%, you can do more proposals. And that now makes you in the game for more contracts, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Eric, I think that a lot of people have an expectation that AI is going to help their organization become leaner and more efficient. Do you have any examples of how AI could possibly help out with reducing staffing levels and making existing staff more productive?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of scenarios for that, but I don't think AI isn't going to necessarily, it's going to change jobs. It isn't necessarily going to eliminate somebody's job, but it is going to change how that job is done. And we'll just take like accounts payable, for instance, okay, invoices and putting them into your system and stuff like that. A lot of that is going to be automated going forward in the next couple of years. So an accounts payable person isn't going to be as just doing that. They'll be doing something else. Or maybe they do AR and AP because it just takes one person. That's just one example where I think AI is going to have a big impact in helping the financial, forecasting. Like for the CFOs, AI is going to be a boon, because you can drill down into that data in ways that you never had before and find insights. And literally, you're just going to be able to ask it, like, in natural language, right? Tell me what would happen if I changed how would my margins be affected if I increased my prices between 1% and 5% in 1% increments? And it would just spit it out. Like now that takes hours and hours and days to do. And AI will do that in 20 seconds.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, we could go deep on this forever. And Scott, those were great questions. I want to tell everybody watching, please get connected to these two gentlemen. Their contact information is around on this video, wherever you're watching it. And want to thank both of you for being on. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's fun. Thank you.
Absolutely.
ooh, ooh.